Hello. Hello. Live stream connected. Thank you. And those in Zoom here, okay? These are all very welcome to the monthly meeting of the Environment Committee. Any apologies?
Apologies
The
from
only one
Councillor
I haven't
Donnelly.
made a apology from Councillor Donnelly. The only one I have been made aware is Councillor McNeil. Declaration of interest, folks. Take those as we progress through the meeting. Everyone happy enough? First item on the agenda is the Environment Health Report, item 3.1, and it's Paula O'Neill.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, members. So the paper you have in front of you is in relation to a memorandum of understanding on regulatory checks on poultry meat, beef and veal and eggs And this is an MOU between the 11 councils and DAERA in relation to checks that are undertaken at retail by environmental health on poultry, meat, beef, veal and eggs. And it's really to clarify enforcement responsibilities and also to firm up data sharing agreement arrangements. The recommendation is for members to agree to sign the MOU, and I'm happy to take any questions that members may have on it.
Anyone, any questions on 3.1? I don't see anyone with any questions. Can I have a proposer, please, and a seconder to accept the recommendation? Anyone propose to accept the recommendation?
I propose, Chair. Councillor Duffy.
I'll second it, Chair.
Proposed by Councillor Duffy, seconded by Councillor Nicholson, that they accept the recommendation. There's no questions. You're happy enough to move on to 3.2?
Okay.
A new framework for civil contingency in Northern Ireland. It's an information item. Everyone happy enough to note?
Happy to note, Chair.
Item 3.3, updating European Union prohibition on feeding of processed animal protein to non-ruminants. We're noting as well. Anyone, any questions? Happy enough to note? Move on to item 4.1, the All Ireland Pollinator Plan.
Happy to propose, Chair.
And
Happy to second, Chair.
proposed by Councillor High, second by Councillor Highan. Anyone, any questions for Barry? Councillor Highan. Councillor Highan, are you looking in there?
No, Chair. I was only seconding the proposal from Councillor Hockey.
Right.
So.
Everyone happy then? Proposed and seconded. Happy enough to move on? There's no questions. 4.2, response to DAERA consultation on the Northern Ireland peatland strategy. Barry, if you anything. Oh, sorry. You got anything to say, Barry?
Yes, thank you, Chair. I'd just like to draw your attention to the fact that the consultation started on the 9th of June, members, and closed on the 1st of September. So in the absence of committees, etc., officers have made a reply, but have made it clear to the department that if there is anything that comes from our elected members, we would get back to them. So if anyone has anything to say or anything that they want to pass on to me, we'll forward that on to the department. Happy to take any questions, obviously, Chair.
Anyone, any questions? Well, can I have a proposer and a seconder, please, that accept the recommendation? Proposed by Alderman Mudry, seconded by Councillor Flaherty. Is happy enough to move on, folks? Item 4.3, the community toilet scheme. Hand over to Barry again.
Thank you, Chair. Members will remember on a number of occasions we have discussed the community toilet scheme and the possibilities of running a similar scheme than is in place in Derry and Strabane Council. This was talked about in November and December 2019, and then I think it was brought up in the August committee just passed. The paper gives an outline of, again, what is happening in Derry and Strabane Council, that their scheme has been running for a number of years now and has been extended out to other areas outside of Derry City itself. We had initially looked at this in regards to if there had been a shortfall in toilet provision in Portadown Town Centre. That has now been addressed because of a contract in place now for a number of years, so that has done away with that particular issue. However, officers feel it would be a useful workshop perhaps to have to discuss this, and the fact that when we initially looked at it, it was provision for a facility that may close. And that has changed. When we look at Derry and Strabane Council, what they have actually done is they have closed some toilets in some areas, and the provision then is provided by the community toilet scheme. Whereas in other areas, they add to the provision that they have through the community toilet scheme. So officers would be keen to have a discussion in a different forum, perhaps with a bit more detail involved in it. And members can let us know what direction they would like us to go in, because I know this has been discussed, but it was discussed at a different point in time. So really happy for members to have a thought about that. But again, we would propose we would actually set up a group, or we would have a workshop to discuss that, what outcomes are actually gained by it, because it will have possible financial implications and service provision implications. Happy to discuss as members wish.
Anyone, any questions? Bring in Councillor Nicholson.
Thanks, Chairman. I thought I lost you there. Didn't know what happened, but no, look, Barry, just in relation to this, is this the same thing that was talked about in relation to trying to get businesses and things to provide toilet accommodation within our town and cities? Is this the same thing?
Bring in Barry.
Yes, through the chair, that's exactly what it is. So what we had looked at before and what members had talked about before is that there would be a certain amount of money would be paid to individual shops and premises. And for that, they would provide clean and free to use toilets to members of the public. So for example, if it was in a cafe, the cafe would not expect that you would be a paying customer to go in and use that facility. And council would then give them a small amount of money each year to have that open for X amount of hours, and the provision would be clean, etc. There is some detail in the appendix in that report, but you're quite right. That's the same scheme as we have talked about a couple of times now. Thank you.
And Barry, I suppose on the back of that, as I understand it, I could be wrong. You can correct me if I'm wrong here. There wasn't a real, uplift. There wasn't really something that the business owners were interested in. What was the uptake on it? In relation to previously.
All right, happy enough?
I'll answer you. The businesses weren't really approached because we had brought it to committee on a number of occasions to see if we wanted to go to businesses. The only thing we have done is we have identified those locations. So there's some detail there for Portadown and Lurgan as possible sites for a trial, for example. But we didn't approach the businesses at any point because members had said that they were happy to hear the information and then it would be brought back. So this is us bringing it back.
Thanks, Barry. And Chairman, final question, Barry, where would this lie within COVID? As in, obviously, COVID has changed all this, in your opinion?
Barry?
Yes, Chair, quite right. All of the regulations would have to be adhered to within COVID. In the same way as there was a short time that some of the toilets were closed and then there was different opening hours and stuff. So this would fall into exactly the same thing, depending on what COVID or whatever other things were going on. So yes, that is always our consideration.
Have enough, Sam?
Yeah, sure. Look, I'm happy to propose, I suppose, a workshop, whatever it is, working group, whatever it is, to discuss this. But again, as I say, obviously there's a lot of factors there I want to take into consideration. But I suppose that if it hasn't been floated out there as a pilot to date, I suppose it's worth asking the question, Chair. So I'm happy to propose. Thank you.
Alderman Midley's looking in.
Thank you, Chair. I think my first question has been answered, and that was to ask Barry why Lurgan and Portadown only, but he has indicated it's a pilot, so therefore that's probably why. I think we should explore the merit in this here. There's going to be an opportunity to provide more facilities for people probably in the town centres if we go ahead with this. But just kind of check again with Barry, are you saying, Barry, none of the named venues have been approached or it hasn't been discussed with them as yet? Okay. Happy on that basis to second Councillor Nicholson's proposal and go to a workshop to explore it further.
You've heard it proposed by Councillor Nicholson, second by Alderman Midley, that this goes to forming a workshop. Everyone happy enough? No further questions? Move on to item 4.4. Letter of offer from Dara, reference rhododendron removal at Peatlands Park. Hand over to Barry on that one.
Thank you, Chair. As members can see, it's a letter of offer for funding to remove the rhododendrons from in and around Peatland Park. Rhododendrons are a species that, although very attractive, are invasive and have a significant negative impact on the flora and fauna. So this project will remove the rhododendron and also have community engagement through volunteering as well. So it's really asking our members' consent that we accept the offer from Dara. Thank you, Chair.
Anyone, any questions there, folks? No questions. Can I have someone to propose we accept the recommendation.
Happy to propose, Chair.
No other. Councillor High proposed that. Alderman Ritchie,
What is the cost then to council in relation to this? We don't own Peatlands Park.
all right.
Yes, thank you, Chair. There's no cost to the council. No, we don't own Peatlands Park. We have a number of projects that we run in coordination with Peatlands Park. It's a very valuable, as members will be aware, it's a very valuable resource in relation to biodiversity and carbon capture. So the better the bog is, the more carbon that it retains. So that's part of what we're doing it for.
Thank you, Chair. On that basis, I was in Peatlands Park this afternoon. Mind you, I didn't really notice the rhododendrons. I had 2 grandchildren with me. But on that basis, I'm very happy to second the proposal.
You've heard it proposed by Councillor High and seconded by Alderman Ritchie that we accept the recommendation. Is everyone happy enough? No further questions? Can I have a proposer and a seconder to go into committee for the consideration of confidential business?
Happy to propose, Chair.
Proposed, Councillor McElrath, second by Councillor Greenfield, that we go into committee. Members and online viewers, in accordance with Schedule 6 of the Local Government Act, we will now be moving into a confidential session of the council. This means that we'll be turning off public feed of the meeting. This will return when the meeting is restarted. Can I ask IT officers that the public feed is turned off? Thank you, Danny. There's no items of correspondence. No items of correspondence, folks. And we haven't been made aware of any AOB. So if that's it for the night, folks, thank you all for joining in, whether you're in the chamber or live stream. And a big thanks to the officers. Special thanks to Carl and Danny and team for getting us through it. Everyone enjoy the rest of your night.
Thanks, Chair.